Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I'm pleased to welcome you to this session of insights about 5G, fiber, and the future of telecommunication in Northern Africa. My name is Clément. I'm an analyst working within the analyst of the Alexis team. I'm specialized in telecom and media, mostly on the SSA and MENA regions. On today's agenda, we have a couple of key topics that I want to introduce. We will take the time to take a look at the key trends in the Northern African mobile and broadband markets. We will also take a deep dive into the market's current state and the potential that still lies within it. We will also ask ourselves the following question: how fast is the region developing its infrastructure? And especially, we will zoom on two topics. The first one is 5G, and the second one is fiber. And finally, we'll take a few minutes to look ahead and see what we can expect from the region within the next 5 years. So this should last about 20-25 minutes. In the meantime, if you have any questions about any of the topics we mentioned, feel free to ask them in the chat, and we will take a few minutes at the end to discuss about it. And before just diving into it, I thought that as we have people coming from different places, it will be interesting for you to have a little bit of background and context about the markets on which we will discuss. And the first few informations I wanted to share with you regarding the mobile markets of the region. And actually, two main informations there I want to share with you. For each of the main countries, I want to share with you the size of the markets. You will find it at the center of the pie charts in millions. So for instance, if we start with Morocco, and the size of the market is 57 million users. And then the second thing is the actors being the local operators there. And for instance, in Morocco, again, we have three actors: Orange, Inouï, and Morocco Telecom. And you can see that the market is pretty much evenly split between both three operators. If we take a look at the next one, Algeria, very similar market situation, actually, both in terms of size and split between the operators. Again, three operators and one of them being the national one. Tunisia, a little bit more to the east, is also similar, but much smaller in terms of size. But the market split, again, is fairly split between the three operators. And then we have Egypt, which is a much bigger country, 126 million mobile subscribers, and split this time between four operators. But one interesting thing for you to note is that Vodafone, the market leader, is also 45% owned by Egypt Telecom. So even though the national operator only has 10% of market share, still it is involved highly in the local market. Now that you have all of this information, I think we can take a look at the first hot news in the region. And it's, of course, the launch of 5G in Tunisia. It happened about a month ago in February. And it was a global launch, we can say, because the three main operators, which are Ooredoo, Orange, and the national one, Tunisia Telecom, were able to actually launch commercially 5G. The significant coverage at launch is something interesting to note as well. Just at the center of the screen, you have a map of the locations at which 5G is available. So it corresponds quite exactly to the population split of the country. But what's interesting to note is that it's not only available in the capital city, Tunis, but it's also available in the main cities. You can see that you can have 5G in Sousse, in Sfax, and down to the south in Djerba as well. And now the question for the country is this the spark that the Tunisian market needed? What I mean by that, and I think it's great to give you a little bit more of context, is that the mobile market, the local mobile market, is struggling to find traction, and the context is very challenging for the operators. The total mobile subscriptions, they have been plateauing for the last 5 years. The population penetration, the mobile penetration has not risen above 130%. And the revenues are pretty still as well. They grew, but only by 1.5% since 2022, which only represents a $5 million increase. So not a lot going on there. And if we take a look at the share of internet mobile subscriptions, it's not increasing as fast as it could. It's only gained 10 points compared to 5 years ago. Now that you know that, 5G is still something that is expected to bring revenue increase for the main operators, and for a couple of reasons. First, it's interesting to note that the transition from 4G to 5G is going to be costless, and we even have operators like Ooredoo, for instance, that committed to transitioning its customers for free for 4G to 5G. But on the other side, 5G is expected to bring additional revenue through a simple thing. First, data consumption increase, and it's expected that customers will be encouraged to switch to higher capped subscriptions, meaning an increased revenue for operators. And second thing is that outside of mobile, 5G is also launched on fixed wireless. And on that subsegment, well, the 5G subscriptions are based on download speed. And as the download speed is increasing, it's going to cost more and going to bring more revenue to the operators, put simply. So that was for Tunisia, but outside of Tunisia, other countries are also moving forward 5G to 5G. Tunisia, as I said, was the first country to launch the technology in the region, but we also have Egypt, who's preparing to launch 5G. All the operators have acquired the license just in December 2024. There is currently no official commercial launch announced, but if we take a look at what the executives from the main operators have been mentioning, they are all mentioning Q4 2025 as the potential launching date. So it's highly probable that this will take place during this lap of time. And Egypt has actually been reaching some important milestones towards the 5G launch. And notably, they have been striking deals with major companies such as Nokia and Ericsson just mid-2024. So it's expected to come very fast. If we take a look just a little bit more to the west, we have Morocco on its side that is preparing for two major milestones. The first one is the AFCON in Q1 2026. The country is expected to launch 5G by then. And then from there to 2030, there will be a progressive rollout up until the FIFA World Cup that the country will be hosting in 2030. And the country has set two major objectives. The first one is 25% of the population covered by 2026, up to 70% in 2030. So quite an ambitious objective there, but definitely something achievable. And its closest neighbor, Algeria, is not doing exactly the same. They are following a different path, so to say. They are still in technical preparation phase. They are testing in a few cities 5G right now, and they are working towards allocating spectrum also for the launch of 5G. And the official position on that is that they're still focusing on 4G, especially to collect the remote areas. There is already 80% of the territory covered by 4G, but Algeria is a very wide country. So reaching the last populated areas is going to be a challenging thing for sure. So apart from mobile and 5G, there is also things happening in the fixed broadband markets. And most notably, I think it's again important for you to have some context before we dive into much of the specificities of the region. So what you have under the eyes are the size of the market and the split by technology for fixed internet. You can see a couple of key things. First, XDSL is still the most used technology by far, between 40 and 78% of the market share, depending on the country. Second thing is that fiber is representing a significant share of the subscribers, especially in Algeria and Morocco, and we will come back to that in a few seconds. And then the last thing I wanted to share was that very diverse local situations lead to diverse priorities and yet diverse policies of fiber rollouts. And the fiber rollout status is different from one country to the other. And as I said, Algeria and Morocco are standing out in that regard. So I think it's interesting to take a look at what they are doing. First, it's interesting to note that they have been reaching new heights in 2024. If we take a look at the numbers themselves, 34% of households have fixed internet in Morocco, which represents a 12 points increase compared to 2020. And it's even more in Algeria, it's 58%, with a 10 points increase again versus 2020. Fiber itself is reaching also important milestones. 1 million subs just reached in December in Morocco, 1.5 million subs in Algeria. They are representing almost all of the fiber subscriptions in the region. Both countries are actually reaching new premises with fiber rather than replacing the current copper covered premises of their network. And on the right, you have a very eloquent graph, I would say, that displays the share of fiber out of the total fixed wire subscriptions. And you can see that we can reasonably expect fiber to overtake copper within the next 1 to 2 years. So it should, just overtake the 50% threshold for sure. Now, I just mentioned that fiber is moving forward very fast in the region, but if countries want to reach the next steps, there are key challenges that they need to address, and they are addressing them. And one interesting thing is to take a look at a specific case, the state of Morocco, and how they are addressing these challenges. The first thing is that managing overlay in fiber infrastructure is a key stake and a key thing to address in an objective to reach, even more households. In the country, there is currently no shared fiber infrastructures. So the country is working toward that. And what it implies is that we have 2 operators out of the 3, Orange and Inouï, that are focusing the rollout mostly on locations where the return on investment is the highest. And on the other hand, we have the 3rd operator, the national one, Morocco Telecom, that is much more voluntary in its rollout strategy, because within its mission, it has to reach out to the undeserved areas. And so very often what happens is that only 1 out of the 3 operators is available. But now, if we take a look at the prices, affordability is also a big barrier. And what you have under the eyes just below is the price comparison of fiber subscriptions, well translated in US dollars. And I compare that to the average price of ADSL. So you can see that it's always at least twice higher. And if we just come back to what I said before, very often, only 1 of the operators is available. So for the end customer, switching to fiber from copper is something very expensive. And it's always, it's something that can slow down the fiber adoption, just put simply. So these are 2 key challenges that all of the countries in the region have to address and are currently addressing. Now, this is for the current status of fiber, but all of these countries have different ambitions, and they have also different strategies to reach out their objectives. If we start from the West, we have Morocco, whose main objective is to reach 5.6 million homes. They are currently at 1 million homes connected, so that would imply a significant change by 2030. They want to back that strategy with a $1 billion investment, but still that would require a significant acceleration of the rollout pace. So that would be interesting to follow and to see whether at what pace they will be able to increase the rollout of their fiber network. Its closest neighbor, Algeria, is following a different path, actually, again. There is no official households objective, but rollout is continuing. And they are focusing mostly on densely populated areas in the north and in the coastal locations. Tunisia is not so much focusing on fiber. They are officially focusing on switching ADSL to VDSL, which for the country is a much more affordable way to increase the connectivity of the populated regions. And then we have Egypt, which is following again, a different strategy with a much more gradual approach to fiber rollout. They are focusing mostly on fiber to the curb rather than fiber to the home. And they announced very recently that their objective is to connect 6 million households within the next few years, but not only through FTTH, but also through fiber to the site, which is much similar to fiber to the curb. And they want to back this strategy with a $6 million deal that they just struck last year between the national operator, Egypt Telecom, and a European one, 4G, coming from Hungary. Now, this was for the stages of the region, but you may be wondering what's coming next. And there are a couple of interesting things to note if we take a look at the data themselves and the forecasts that can be done for the region. First, on the left, if we take a look at mobile, you can see that 5G is going to represent an increasing share of the total mobile subscriptions. And also an important milestone is going to be the 300 million mobile subscriptions. It's going to be reached by 2027. So within the next 2 to 3 years, should be reached. And then if we take a look at fixed internet on the other hand, two interesting things to note for me. First, fiber is going to represent an increasing share again of the total mix. But on the other hand, we also have fixed wireless, who's going to still stay around 22-23%. And it's because the region has a lot of areas that are remote and very tough to reach with fixed wired connections, and it's much more sense it makes much more sense to reach them with just fixed wireless or even satellite sometimes. So yeah, that's why it's expected to stay at least at this level. So there is one thing to keep in mind and to remember from this presentation is that the next few years will be critical in shaping the future of the telecommunication markets in Northern Africa. Now, if you want to stay informed and access exclusive insights on the topics we discussed, there is a simple way you can keep following the DataXis research highlights that we publish very frequently. You receive them by mail, and you can find them as well on our website. We take deep dives into what's happening in those markets, and we try to also give you exclusive insights on the key drivers behind those changes. Now, maybe we also have some questions, so let me just take a look at the chat. And if you have some, feel free to just raise your hand or write me something in the chat. I think we have no questions currently, but if something comes up to your mind later and you want us to take a look at something we mentioned, feel free to reach out to us later by mail or by message, and we'll be pleased to answer. Yeah, one last thing I wanted to share with you, that we also have upcoming insights on other topics within the next 2 days. Right today, we have a first one about what we have learned in the tvOS space in 2024. It's coming just later today. We also have a little bit later one about what's happening in LATAM, and specifically on the OTT segment. And last, I think tomorrow we have one about Geostar. It's focusing this time more on the Asian markets, and it's going to be called a game changer in the Indian streaming industry. So again, if you're interested in those topics, I encourage you to join those sessions. And again, I want to thank you for attending today. I hope it was interesting and insightful for you. If you have any questions, you want us to take another look at our data, feel free to reach out to us at the email address just at the center. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everybody.